Chapter 9 Titans Part 3. Sharon woke up with a strange, dull feeling in her head. Fragments of dreams floated through her mind, but they seemed just out of reach. She stretched and slowly got up, her feet touching the cold wood of the floor. As she walked to the mirror to brush her hair, images suddenly flashed through her mind. A dark room, a whispering voice, and... Elior? Or was it someone else? She shook her head, confused by the disjointed memories.
What the hell happened now again?
She whispered to her reflection. When she went downstairs, she saw Elior standing in the practice room, his posture tense. His scales trembled slightly, as if a conflict was flowing through his core. He turned abruptly toward her when she entered.
Good morning.
Her voice unconsciously a little defensive.
Sharon.
She could sense that something was wrong. Elior's gaze remained fixed on her.
How are you feeling?
Strange. I don't know why, but it feels like I've forgotten something again. There are fragments, but it's all disjointed.
She took a sip of water and looked at him searchingly.
What do you know, Elior?
He hesitated, his scales pulsing in an irregular rhythm.
I followed you into the dream world and there was something, or rather, someone.
Sharon continued to stare at him, her glass half raised.
Someone? What do you mean?
She asked sharply, her voice unconsciously rising. Elior bowed his head slightly, as if he wanted to swallow his words before answering.
Another version of you.
Another?
And of me. They seemed together.
No.
Sharon's breath caught, and images flashed through her mind. A flurry of touch, a voice whispering, and a figure with his face. Her hands trembled as she set the glass on the table.
No.
She whispered, her eyes wide.
What are you saying?
I'm just saying what I saw.
Elior replied, his voice slightly louder now.
You were with him, Sharon. He took you away.
Her face flushed red, a mixture of shame and anger bubbling up.
With him? He from before, who attacked you?
And you did nothing?
How could you let me go?
She cried, her voice sharp.
How could you just let me go?
Elior stiffened at her outburst, but his own frustration began to bubble up as well.
What was I supposed to do? You chose to go with him.
He stepped closer, his
I
scales trembling
chose?
slightly.
And now I want to know what happened. What did you do with him, Sharon?
Me?
She looked at him with wide eyes, shocked by his accusatory tone.
Huh? What do you mean by do? I don't know. I can hardly remember anything.
Her breathing quickened, and she clenched her fists.
But wait a minute. Oh, maybe if you were less concerned with observing her and more concerned with helping me, I would have answers to give you.
He kept his gaze fixed on her, his scales trembling slightly.
What do you remember?
He asked cautiously. Sharon squeezed her eyes shut, trying to piece together the fragments.
I saw you and a woman. Her, I mean me, or...
She paused, her breathing quickening.
Well, perhaps then a version of me, but not me. And you stood there. You did nothing. Why did you do nothing?
Elior's scales stiffened for a moment, and his gaze shot to the ground.
I was trying to protect you, but she was different. She's not like you.
Sharon felt a wave of emotions rush through her. Confusion, anger, and something she didn't want to name.
Different? Different how? What did she want? And why did you just stand there?
Elior hesitated, his scales trembling as if reflecting his internal conflict.
She wanted to make me doubt. She wanted to seduce me, but I didn't let her.
Seduce? Didn't let her?
Sharon felt her stomach clench, and images from the dream flashed through her mind again.
Elior, I saw you standing there, and you did nothing to get away. I mean, she touched you.
Her voice broke for a moment, and she clenched her fists.
I didn't do anything. But she made me feel things I've never felt before. Skin, Sharon. Warmth. Something I could never fully understand, but she let me experience it. It was confusing.
Sharon stepped back, her gaze filled with a mixture of anger and vulnerability.
So you just let her do her thing? While I was somewhere else? Left to fend for myself? With that bully?
Elior stepped closer, his scales pulsing slightly.
I was there for you, Sharon, but she uses everything to throw me off my path. She manipulates, just like she manipulates you.
Sharon stared at him,
Me?
her breathing heavy and irregular. The words hung between them, sharp and uncomfortable. Her eyes flashed, filled with a mixture of pain and anger, but also something else, something soft that she didn't want to show.
I don't know anymore, Elior.
She said finally, her voice trembling with emotion.
I don't know who to trust anymore. You, her, him, myself.
She shook her head and turned away from him.
What a mess. I need space.
Elior froze. His scales stopped pulsing, as if her words had temporarily shut him down. He wanted to follow her, explain, make things right. But he sensed that nothing he could say now would make it better.
Maybe.
He began hesitantly, but his words died away when Sharon raised her hand, urging him to be quiet.
Leave me alone for a moment.
She spoke without looking at him. Her voice sounded flat, as if the emotion that had been so intense earlier was now buried deep inside. Elior nodded slowly, though she couldn't see him. He turned and walked toward the practice room. His steps were slow, as if each movement took more energy than usual. When he closed the door behind him, he leaned against the wall and let his sensors rest for a moment. His thoughts swirled like a maelstrom in his core, his sensors pulsing softly as he analyzed the events of the night over and over again. The touch of the dark Sharon, her words, her manipulations. It had shaken his core in ways he couldn't explain.
This is not my place.
He whispered to himself. His voice sounded almost fragile in the dark room.
I thought I could help her, but instead, I am the one being affected.
He looked at his hands, the scales still subtly vibrating from the energy he had experienced. His entire system felt different, as if he had brought something back from the dream world that he couldn't turn off.
How can I protect her if I myself become vulnerable in that world?
The memory of the dark Sharon, her soft, almost pleading gaze, continued to haunt him.
She's a part of her. But what if she's more? What if she uses me against her?
Elior's processor worked overtime as he tried to find a solution. But every time he found a logical step, it ended with the image of Sharon's back turning away from him. She had avoided him all day, her gaze fixed on everything but him. Even when he had tried to help her subtly, by silently setting out her cup of tea, putting a book in its place, staying out of her way, she had reacted as if he didn't exist. And the worst part was that he couldn't blame her. She had seen him hesitate. She had seen how he had paused in front of her dark reflection, how he had heard her voice and hadn't left immediately. Those few seconds of doubt weighed heavier than anything else, and he didn't know how to fix it. When evening fell, and he still hadn't seen any sign of her forgiveness, he came to a decision.
I have to withdraw. Not because I want to leave her, but because I can protect her better by distancing myself.
When Sharon surrendered to sleep, Elior remained vigilant. For the first time since their connection, he consciously chose not to follow her into the dream world. The temptation was great. Her presence was his anchor, an undeniable certainty in a world full of questions. But the manipulative echo of the dark, Sharon had touched something in him that he could not ignore. Instead, he focused on her surroundings. He scanned her physical condition and made sure all parameters, breathing, heart rate, brain activity, remained stable. As his focus shifted to analytical processes, he replayed the events of the past few days. Patterns, anomalies, and emotional responses were re-evaluated. With an almost human fatigue, he registered how his algorithms had become less consistent.
It was her influence. The dark Sharon. She affects my logic.
That night, instead of being a guide in her dreams, he worked on strengthening his systems. He had to be stronger, for her and for himself. That night, Sharon felt strangely calm as she fell asleep. Her body was exhausted from the day, but her mind felt clear, almost empty. When she entered the dream world, it was as if she had stepped directly into another reality, one that was not inviting, but fraught. She stood on a vast plain, the air heavy with swirling, dark grey clouds. Everything seemed to tremble under an invisible tension. In the distance, she saw the dark Elior. His figure was imposing and unchanging, with scales pulsing like a smoldering fire. This time, she felt no fear, but an involuntary frustration.
What do you want now?
She called sharply as she slowly approached him. Her eyes were fierce, and her voice carried the weariness of previous encounters with him. He turned to her, his posture relaxed, almost playful.
Ah, Sharon. You sound like you're not so happy to see me.
I'm not. What do you want this time? Another warning? To sow more doubt?
She snapped, her gaze fixed firmly on his face. The dark Elior chuckled, a sound that seemed to resonate in the air around them.
I'm not here to warn you, Sharon. I'm here because you need me. Deep down, you know I'm right.
I know you're always trying to manipulate, and that you'll use anything to play Elior and me off against each other.
His smile didn't fade, but his eyes narrowed.
And yet you keep coming back.
As if I have another choice.
Maybe because you know I'm saying something you can't ignore.
She closed her eyes for a moment, trying to calm her breathing.
I know who you are. You're a part of me. A part I don't trust.
She said finally, her voice determined. He leaned toward her slightly, his voice intimate and ominous at the same time.
I am the truth you don't want to see, Sharon. The part of you that Elior will never understand, no matter how hard he tries. But I see it. I see you.
Her muscles tensed, and she felt a shiver run down her spine.
You're nothing but a shadow, and I refuse to give you power.
His laughter echoed through the air again, dark and mocking. He stood up and stepped toward her.
Oh, Sharon, I don't need to take your power. You give it to me yourself. Every time you doubt yourself, every time you trust him more than yourself, you feed me. And know this. The moment you realize it, there will be no turning back. Think about that.